Megan, and I'm going to be telling you about commercial real estate. So, commercial real estate defined, it's property used solely for business purposes. It's leased out to provide a workspace rather than a living space. So companies will either own a building or they'll rent it from a landlord. And so this can be anything, basically any business that we see. Like it says, gas stations, malls, retailers of any kind, office spaces, hotels, restaurants, even convenience stores. So basically any type of business you see. Storefront, that's commercial real estate. And so, like I was saying, usually an investor will own the building and rent it out to the tenants, but some businesses do choose to own their buildings outright. That's definitely an investment for them, but some of them just feel like it's worth it to own instead of having to rent and be subject to a landlord. So I looked up some commercial real estate firms. Several of them, the largest one was CBRE. Then there's Cushman and Wakefield Incorporated and Newmark Knight Frank. So on Investopedia, it listed some of the responsibilities of a commercial real estate firm. Basically, they appraise the value, they can broker the purchase and sales, they manage upkeep, find and retain the tenants, negotiate leases, and help with financing. So they're really in it for everything. They're not just there to, broker between the landlord and the tenant. They do quite a bit also in addition to that. And then there are a couple different type of lease categories. So a gross lease, that's where the tenant pays the rent and the rent is all they pay. Just kind of like a flat rate. Then the owner has to pay everything else, like maintenance, insurance, and like property taxes. So that type is really good for the tenant. And then there's a net lease where the tenant pays rent for the building and then the expenses as well. There's single net, double net, and triple net leases. Triple net is more popular, and that's basically where the tenant pays for everything. So that's really good for the landlord, obviously because they're not having to take care of the expenses on top. And usually they'll kind of lower the base rent, so it doesn't, totally be unappealing to the tenants they're trying to get. And then there's a modified gross lease. I kind of said it's a happy medium. The tenant pays the rent and some of the expenses, but it seems to be more negotiated between the tenant and the landlord, and kind of, more fair for both of them. But all three of these types of leases are popular. The main thing when I was doing my research, it said for tenants, is just when you are leasing a commercial building, you just want to make sure to, of course, read the contract. You need to see if there's any hidden fees, if there are any expenses you're in charge of, and just really, know what you're getting into. So the current commercial state of real estate, so CBRE, that was that major real estate firm, they published a report recently, and they said the outlook for U.S. commercial real estate in 2018 is cloudy, saying that there's some policies that are uncertain, and it's kind of been difficult to forecast how real estate will do. One of the main problems is the retail sector, and according to Investopedia, it said it proved a big pain point in the broader commercial market. There's been a lot of store closures lately, as I'm sure everyone's heard of. Recent announcements include Toys R Us, Walgreens, Best Buy, and even Walmart are shutting down some of their stores. I think we see as the, basically as the internet becomes the bigger player, Amazon is just skyrocketing, and even Walmart and Target now you see are offering free shipping, and more shopping is online. So now it's kind of hurting the real estate industry because storefronts maybe aren't as necessary or as popular as they used to be. However, there are quite a few places that have still said they're going to open up stores. The ones I found were Ulta, Target, and Warby Parker. So it's not complete dying industry or anything. And for the future, I found a really good quote from Forbes. It said, one of the reasons that people would want to invest in commercial real estate compared to the volatility of the equities market and the near zero return from bank deposits, commercial real estate is a really kind of safe middle option. It balances risk and return and does provide cash flow to a portfolio. One of the things that's really nice about commercial real estate investment is that it is secured because it has the actual building as collateral. And so there's definitely less of a risk compared to some of the unsecured securities and such that are available on the stock market. So some of the things I saw to watch out for, some of the commercial real estate, actually was saying as the baby boomers and the US population ages, you'll start to see more need for medical care. And so medical places like instant care, things like that, those are kind of predicted to be on the rise. And then another thing was the millennial experiential retail. So millennials, of course, we love to go shopping, go out to eat, things like that. And so more and more millennials are looking for places that are open later hours and that cater to having an experience. And then I read in the Wall Street Journal for one of our assignments about shopping center gyms. Shopping centers are really hurting right now, but actually they're starting to find that adding fitness studios is starting to boost the sales for the stores around it, because people are out going and working out and things, and then they have the stores right next to it, which makes it more convenient. So rather than shop online, they may just be more tempted to pick up items while they're at the gym since the store is nearby. Overall, there are some great things to watch for, even as the internet starts to take over sales and such. So overall, commercial real estate, it's not, a perfect investment, but it's definitely something to look at. So thanks for watching, and I hope that helped.